It was supposed to be a quiet trip, a brief return to the UK, where Prince Harry could bask in the glow of the Invictus Games, a project he had poured his heart into, a testament to service and sacrifice. This was his chance to show that he hadn't completely lost touch with the country he once called home. But what unfolded was anything but dignified. As Harry stepped off the plane, he was met not with the warm embrace of royal family members, but with a chilling silence. No royal escort awaited him, no welcoming committee. Instead, he slipped into the shadows, avoiding reunions with King Charles and dodging his brother, William, entirely. The palace was already on edge, annoyed by his presence, especially given the recent health scares that had gripped the family. Then came the moment that would change everything. During a live show, Graham Norton, the beloved British host, delivered a punchline that cut deeper than anyone could have anticipated. He might not show up. I think he's afraid the British crowd will salute, just not him. The audience erupted in laughter, but for Harry, it was a gut punch. This wasn't just a joke. It was a stark reminder that he was no longer the hero in the eyes of the public. Sources close to Harry revealed that he was watching the show live, and when the joke landed, he didn't laugh. Instead, he slammed a glass down in frustration, reportedly shouting at aides about the disgrace of mocking wounded warriors. The rage that bubbled within him wasn't just about Graham Norton's quip. It was about the brutal reality that he had become a punchline, a figure of ridicule rather than respect. As the laughter echoed in his ears, Harry felt the weight of his isolation. The Invictus Games, once a symbol of his transformation from tabloid wildchild to champion of veterans, now hung in the balance. Organizers and sponsors were left in limbo, waiting for confirmation of his attendance in 2027. The silence from Harry's camp was deafening, and insiders whispered that he was hesitant, not due to scheduling conflicts or security concerns, but out of fear. Fear of being booed at his own event. Fear of facing the very people he once inspired, now viewing him as a stranger. Behind closed doors, the mood among his team was tense. One insider described it as volatile, with everyone walking on eggshells around him. Harry felt attacked for no reason, but the truth was, he had opened the door to this chaos himself. Meanwhile, King Charles was reportedly furious, not just about the joke, but about Harry's silence regarding the Invictus Games. To Charles, this event was one of Harry's last noble contributions to the monarchy, something to be proud of. Now, it felt like it was unraveling before his eyes. A palace aide bluntly stated that the king saw Harry's silence as a betrayal. If Harry thought he could straddle both worlds, living a Hollywood life in Montecito while keeping one foot in royal duty, this trip had proven otherwise. The UK didn't want half-hearted efforts. They wanted loyalty. And Harry, for all his causes and claims of service, hadn't shown it. Not to his father, not to the veterans, and certainly not to the country. As the laughter from Graham Norton's show faded, it was replaced by a haunting silence. Harry's return to the UK had turned into a public nightmare, and the stakes were higher than ever. The Invictus Games, once a beacon of hope and resilience, now stood on shaky ground, and Harry was left to grapple with the consequences of his choices. As the days passed, the fallout from Graham Norton's joke continued to reverberate through the media and social platforms. Social media exploded with commentary, memes, and hashtags mocking Harry's silence. The public, once enamored with the prince who championed veterans, now questioned his commitment. The laughter that had once celebrated his efforts had morphed into ridicule, and the sentiment was palpable. Buckingham Palace, typically a fortress of support, remained eerily quiet. No statements were issued to defend Harry, no attempts at damage control. The message was clear: he was on his own. Insiders whispered that the palace was fed up with Harry's antics, especially after everything the family had endured in recent months. The cancer diagnoses, the public pressure, the endless drama. It all weighed heavily on King Charles, who had hoped for a show of unity during Harry's visit. Instead, his son had slipped in and out like a ghost, leaving behind a trail of disappointment. The tension reached a boiling point when Harry's absence from the upcoming Invictus Games became a topic of heated discussion. Organizers, sponsors, and veterans were left in limbo, uncertain if the man who had once inspired them would even show up. The silence from Harry's camp was deafening, and whispers of stress and concern over public reception filled the air. Behind the scenes, Harry's team was growing restless. One insider described the atmosphere as charged, with everyone tiptoeing around Harry's fragile state. He felt like a target, but the truth was, he had opened the door to this chaos himself. The very community he had once fought for was now expressing disappointment, and the sting of their words cut deep. A Royal Marine who had competed in 3 Invictus Games summed it up brutally. "He was one of us. Now he's just another Hollywood name who dipped his toe into our world when it suited him." The reality of Harry's situation began to sink in. He was no longer the beloved prince. He was a man grappling with the consequences of his choices. The Invictus Games, which had once symbolized his transformation, now felt like a distant memory. The fear of public rejection loomed large, and Harry found himself at a crossroads. Meanwhile, King Charles's frustration boiled over. He was furious, not just about the joke, but about Harry's failure to confirm his attendance at the Invictus Games. To Charles, this event was a chance for Harry to reaffirm his commitment to the monarchy and the values they once shared. Instead, it felt like another betrayal. The king had spent a lifetime juggling duty and emotion, and now, it seemed like the final door was slamming shut. William, too, was done extending olive branches. After the memoir, the Netflix specials, and the constant undermining of the crown, he saw Harry's hesitation around the Invictus Games as the final break. It wasn't just about logistics. It was about loyalty. The Duke of Sussex hadn't shown any, and the rift between the brothers widened. As the Invictus Games approached, the pressure mounted. Harry's silence was deafening, and the public's patience was wearing thin. Polls revealed a staggering 72% of Britons believed he should stay away unless he publicly apologized for the attacks on his family. Even more damning, over 80% no longer associated him with values like service or sacrifice. For a man who had once embodied those ideals, it was a staggering fall from grace. Inside Montecito, the mood was tense. Advisors scrambled to salvage what was left of the Sussex brand, but the cracks were becoming harder to hide. With Meghan's podcast canceled, their Netflix project stalling, and Spotify severing ties, the couple's image as philanthropic powerhouses was beginning to look like smoke and mirrors. Publicists whispered about rebranding, about pivoting away from anything UK-related altogether. But that might seal their irrelevance. As the clock ticked down to the Invictus Games, Harry faced a critical decision. Would he step back into the UK spotlight, own his past, and reaffirm his commitment? Or would he remain in the shadows, risking further alienation from the very people he once inspired? The stakes had never been higher, and the whispers of abandonment grew louder. The Invictus Games were built on resilience, brotherhood, and commitment. Harry had once been one of them, but now, he was teetering on the edge of losing it all. The question remained, would he rise to the occasion, or would he let the silence speak louder than any boo from the crowd? As the date of the Invictus Games approaches, speculation runs rampant about Prince Harry's potential return to the UK. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, but also skepticism. Many wonder if Harry will rise to the occasion or continue to shy away from the public eye. The stakes are undeniably high, and the pressure for him to make a decision is mounting. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest that Harry is grappling with a profound internal conflict. Will he confront the ghosts of his past and reaffirm his commitment to the Invictus Games, or will he choose the comfort of silence, risking further alienation from the very community he once championed? The fear of facing a crowd that may not welcome him back looms large, and the whispers of doubt grow louder. King Charles, reportedly watching the unfolding drama with a mix of sadness and frustration, may feel personally betrayed by Harry's silence. The Invictus Games represent one of the last remaining links between father and son, and many speculate that the king hopes for a show of unity during this pivotal event. If Harry were to attend, it could symbolize a reconciliation of sorts, a chance to reaffirm the values they both once held dear. William, too, is said to be at a breaking point. After everything that has transpired, the memoir, the Netflix specials, and the ongoing tension, he may be done extending olive branches. Speculation suggests that if Harry fails to show up for the Invictus Games, it could be seen as the final straw, further deepening the rift between the brothers. As the games draw near, public sentiment appears increasingly harsh. Social media is abuzz with criticism, and the platforms that once celebrated Harry's efforts now echo with disappointment. Many wonder if he will heed the call to action, with one viral post capturing the sentiment perfectly. You can't preach purpose from a mansion. You have to show up when it counts. In this climate of uncertainty, the question remains, will Harry choose to step back into the UK spotlight? If he does, it could mark a significant turning point in his journey, a chance to confront his past and reaffirm his dedication to the Invictus Games. The public is eager to see if he can reclaim his place among those he once inspired, proving that he is still committed to the values of service and sacrifice. As the day of the Invictus Games arrives, speculation swirls about Harry's potential appearance. Will he embrace the opportunity to reconnect with the veterans and the community that once rallied around him? Or will he remain in the shadows, allowing the whispers of abandonment to grow louder? If Harry does decide to show up, it could transform the narrative surrounding him. The cheers from the crowd might serve as a powerful reminder that redemption is possible, and that legacy isn't just about titles or accolades. It's about presence and commitment. However, if he chooses to stay away, the implications could be dire. The Invictus Games, built on resilience and brotherhood, may serve as a stark reminder of what he has lost. The public's patience is wearing thin, and the longer he remains silent, the more difficult it may become to reclaim the trust he once enjoyed. Ultimately, the future remains uncertain. The Invictus Games are on the horizon, and the world is watching closely. Will Prince Harry rise to the occasion, or will he let fear dictate his actions? The clock is ticking, and the choices he makes in the coming days could define his legacy for years to come.